I'm Sabrina Samuels, and welcome to my show, Upfront and Personal. It's my intention to deliver information that will help us maintain a quality lifestyle in all aspects of our lives. So let's get started. Welcome to my video blog. I'm Sabrina Samuels. Thank you for tuning in. To all of my fabulous ladies and gents, you know I appreciate you. Thank you so much for your support. And for those of you who have not subscribed to my video blog, make sure you do so before the end of the video. And make sure you ring that bell so you will be notified whenever I put out a new video blog. Thank you so much. Well, on this edition, I've got hubby here again. And he had another question, and I'm going to have him actually tell you what the question is.
Well, again, honey, thank you for inviting me and allowing me to be a part of this video presentation.
All right, okay.
One of your subscribers emailed you a question to ask me for her. And essentially what she asked was, how did we meet? And what have I done, or what do I do to keep the marriage fresh? Is that the sound about right?
Yeah, that's it. But she wanted to know how we met.
How we met, okay.
Right, how we met. Because we're gonna do a little video on keeping the marriage juicy. So I don't want you to tell that part, but how we met is very good for this one.
Yeah, but it was juicy when we met too, though.
well, let's hear about that. Okay.
Right. Yeah, the question was, how did we meet? And that's a very interesting story. Let me share it with you. First of all, I have to acknowledge that what God brought together, nobody can take asunder. And that's exactly what happened. God brought us together. And how else could you explain the fact that I was driving down the street in my brand new car. I had just gotten a promotion on my job, on my way to my apartment. And I saw this long, lean, tall sister. She was wearing skinny jeans at the time, had a waist level jacket on. It was kind of cool outside. So I passed by her and I looked at the front, and automatically my testosterone started going wild. So I pulled into the parking lot. Apparently she was on her way to a grocery store, so I pulled into that parking lot. It was a Safeway store, and as she was walking along the sidewalk, apparently she had just gotten off the bus. So I approached her and I came up with some corny line, something that I'm almost ashamed to even repeat, but I said, hey sister, I'm going to be baking this cake at home. I'm going to try it for the first time. Can I invite you over to share it with me?
And wait a minute, before you finish that, I've never had anybody invite me for cake and ice cream. He said ice cream too.
Cake and ice cream.
Yeah, normally you want to go have a drink, but go ahead, dear.
Well, in any event, she thought that was corny then, but it got her attention, which is all I wanted. So being the typical male, I mean, all I saw was the physical attraction. But as I got to know her a little bit better over time, I got to see some of the qualities that attracted me and kept me in love with her.
Well, yeah, that's so beautiful. But you know what? I thought you were coming out of Safeway. You were scoping me out. It sounds. I'm just not finding this out. I thought he was coming out of Safeway and saw me as he was getting in the car. You were scoping me out before I even knew it.
Look, I checked out the back, it was all good. When I checked out the front, as my late grandmother would say, it was gooder and gooder.
Oh, Lord, I love it, I love it. Well, you know what? It's so beautiful because I'd like for you to share with them where our first date was.
Well, as I mentioned, as I got to know Sabrina a little bit better over the next couple of weeks, I found out that she was very much a Christian. She had a lot of symbols in her own apartment of pictures of Christ on the wall, some other symbols that let me know that, and ultimately we engaged in some conversations about that. So the very first time that I invited her out on a date, our first date was on an Easter Sunday,
Right.
and I took her to my aunt's church. And so then we went to brunch afterwards.
Well, actually, we went to your aunt's church and then your church.
Yeah, we went to church, her church, and then my own church, and then we went to brunch afterwards. So we did a sunrise service at my aunt,
Right.
regular worship service at my own church, and followed it up with brunch. That was our first date.
Right, and that was Allen Temple Baptist Church, which is the church we joined, and Pastor J. Alfred Smith is the one who married us. But I tell you, he was so beautiful when we first met and went to his church. He shook our hands and he said, "You all are a special couple." And he had never met me before.
Right.
So I thought that was so beautiful. And he's the pastor who married us, and he's our dear friend even to this day. We love you, Pastor Smith. So we went to,
love you.
Yes, we went to brunch. Now, you know what I loved about this man? When he brought me back to my apartment, he didn't ask me for a kiss or to come in, but he kissed me on the hand. He actually kissed me on the hand. And I said, oh, wow, now this brother, there's something different about this brother. He is a little different. Asked me out for cake and ice cream, takes me to church. I didn't ask him to go to church. He picked up the vibe when you came into my apartment. And says, you know what, I'm going to sunrise service and I'm going to my church, and it resonated with me, so I felt comfortable. I felt very comfortable. And the rest is history. The rest is history. And then he took me to a fabulous brunch. Ladies, it was laid out. I mean, I said, this man's got class. He's not only got class, but he's very intelligent. Our conversation was very, very good. He is very articulate, but he was so articulate back in the day. And I said, gotta hang with this brother. I like that. So that is so beautiful. Now, what are the traits you liked in me?
Well,
That's a little part of it.
I have to say, all the while she was checking out my traits, my testosterone was still raging wild. But nothing had happened at that point. But I knew that I had to react. I had to reach her in a different way than I had been accustomed to. So I knew that it would be a little bit different in terms of doing the things that I wanted to do, but all that did was just made me closer to her. And what I found out as time went on was that she was very wise.
Thank you.
And I knew that that was a gift. Wisdom comes as a gift from God. I mean, I was halfway intelligent, but she was wise. And there's a difference between wisdom and intelligence. She possessed that wisdom, still does, and it's helped me and helped her in both of our separate separate careers and our combined lives. Also found that she had her priorities right. To her, faith was first and foremost, family was second, and when I say family, she had aspirations in her own career, but she wound up putting her aspirations second to mine once she got to know my dreams, my vision, and she felt that that would be a good part of our family connection and relationship. And so she subordinated her interests, her aspirations, to make sure that she was supporting me. And that just made me and drew me even closer to that, closer to her.
Thank you. And you know what? It really paid off for the better, because I could have gone much farther in my career. But I knew that as a team, pushing him and me riding along the way, still doing what I want to do, but continuing to help and support him as my helpmate. This is, of course, after we got married. I think we were kind of pushing each other's careers. But he gave me the keys to that brand new car. He meant business. I said, oh, he gets serious. He meant business. He gave me the key to that car. And that's when we started really supporting one another's career. And after we got married, of course, I made sure that he reached his goals. And I reached my goals too. I was telling a colleague the other day that I think that I made the wise decision of family, God and family, then career. Very important. And I asked my husband years ago, before we got married, you know he wanted some, don't you? You know he wanted some. And I told him, I said, if you get this, you're going to be my husband. And I held him to that. And he was telling me it wasn't a year. It wasn't a year.
It was 2 months.
I was telling people it was a year, and he had to cut me off in the conversation and said, girl, nobody's going to wait for somebody a whole year. I don't know, maybe they have in the past, but yeah, make a long story short, we're married, we've been married, and it's been a beautiful, joyful ride. And I'm glad that I put my priorities in the right direction. Sometimes it's hard to do that. I could have been boss lady. I could have had that career of my dreams. But I saw that family, our son, now his children, our grandchildren, family comes, up there, right up there with religion. Because if you don't have a foundation, how are you going to have a beautiful family?
Yeah, and I'm just so grateful, so thankful that God trusted me with her. I mean, there could have been other people she would have met or I may have met. It may have turned out differently, who knows, but he trusted me with her, and once I got that drilled into my head, it was very easy to accept your hand in marriage, and it's just been a beautiful ride. I'm reminded of a song, a line in a song by India Ari, where she talks about, since life is going to be crazy anyway, I want to take this ride or this journey up with you. And that's the way I felt at the time. And that's the way I feel even now. Yeah, life is going to be crazy. It's going to have ups and downs. You're going to be riding the roller coaster in terms of your marriage and your relationships and raising a family and advancing your career and so forth. But if I had the chance to do it over again, I'd do it with her each and every time.
Well, thank you, dear. But it is something I have to share with you because he's given me such beautiful accolades. I'm a sinner saved by grace. So when I met him, I had been celibate for 2 years. I'd given my life to God, and I meant business. I'd done a lot of crazy stuff like we always do when we're young. I wasn't on the straight and narrow. I knew the Lord, but I also knew that life of fashion and glamour and all the crazy things that go on in it. And when I gave myself to God is when things started happening for me for the better. So I want to make that clear that I met him when I asked God for my husband. But I was 2 years into learning and growing, and it was a hard journey, but it was worth it. And I'm still, not perfect. None of us are perfect. But I think we've done a pretty good job with our ups and downs.
Yeah, but I want to make clear as well that my testosterone got tested and tasted after about 2 months. But it was good, and even as we went along throughout our marriage, one thing just pointing out and showing the sacrifice my wife has always made in our marriage. Even when she doesn't want to have sex, she'll do it anyway, just to fulfill her biblical purpose and reason for being in a marriage. So I thank her for that.
Part of the reason.
Yeah, it's not always about that, but that's just a part of it. But I did want to point out that I was being a bad boy at first, but God brought us together, and I was not going to leave that alone.
Well, thank you. And it's been a journey, and people have to understand, Joe, and I think it's important for people to understand, we've had ups and downs. It has not been a straight and easy road. Marriage is always going to have some turbulence in it, as well as easygoing times. But it's during the turbulence that you have to fall on your knees. And I think that's what really kept us together when we were able to hold hands and ask God to help us because we didn't know which way to go. We didn't know what to do. And that has been many times.
Well, and as I've said before, God is our strength and our refuge in times of trouble.
Yes.
So we've always leaned on Him, turned to Him, try to advance His kingdom, lift up His name to anybody, anywhere, at any time. That is a large part and a major part that's kept us together and in love.
Oh yes, and it's not an easy journey. I don't want you all to think out there it's just been so easy for us, because it's not. But it's well worth the ride. It's well worth the sacrifice. It's well worth the work. In the end, as we get older in our latter years, we can sit back now and relax, do whatever we want to do because we've taken care of business. I mean business. Personal business, financial business, security, health-wise, etc. So we've done it the right way, and we've had to learn how to do it. And that's what we want to impart upon you young people out there who are ready to get married, who aspire to get married. Make sure you put all the bullets in the right location. Make sure you prioritize. Make sure you have everything right. Don't just get out there and fall in love and have a booty call and it was so good you're just going to throw caution to the wind. And men, the same thing. Use wisdom at all times, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Well said, dear.
Well, thank you. Would you like to say anything in closing?
Just that for me, it's been a joy and a pleasure. One of the things that I'm doing right now, I'm sitting here right now because I owe my wife. She sacrificed her career ambitions to support mine. I was able to rise in my profession. For those of you who don't know, I worked as in law enforcement and was able to rise to the top of my profession. And one of the blessings I've been able to enjoy was being selected by my peers from around the world to be the president of this police executive organization, the International Association of Chiefs of Police. And I was selected, elected, and upon my installation as president, my wife, of course, was with me at the banquet. And before I was installed as president, and before my speech, I introduced her, and before she came up, actually she was sitting on the dais with me. So what I did was had a song played in the background, and that song was by the Stylistics, "You Make Me Feel Brand New." So we broke a few tears.
Oh, stop, you would make me cry.
Oh, wow.
Oh, go ahead.
That's exactly how she reacted when that song played during that banquet. But that's the words of that song resonated with me, certainly resonated with her, and we just been blessed and fortunate to have each other.
Thank you, dear. Well, as you can see, my false eyelashes are about to fall off. So I'm going to close it out. The words are beautiful, dear. Thank you. I didn't expect it. Excuse the tears, you all. I'm sorry. But anyway, we thank you for tuning in. Make sure you go to my website. I don't have the energy now. I'm filled with joy here. But make sure you go to my website, see what I'm all about, see what go into the training program, invest in that training program. My husband is on that training program in one of the modules. And we give you even more in-depth information about marriage and relationships, and it'll just bless your life. Until we see each other again, remember you're a winner. Believe it, know it in your heart and soul to be true. Remember, God loves you, He loves me, He loves this entire world. We have to do our part though. Let's make sure we do that. You do the work, you put in the time. The reward is there for you. Until next week, I wish you love, peace, happiness, and our Heavenly Father's divine order. Thank you, dear. Take care.